Welcome in. If you found your way here today, it's not by accident. This message is meant for those who feel something shifting, not on the surface, but somewhere deeper. If you've been sensing a quiet pull, a subtle unraveling, or a feeling you can't quite name, you're exactly where you need to be. This space isn't about loud predictions or fast answers. It's a place to pause, to breathe, to return to something that's been waiting within you, perhaps for longer than you realized. Today is April 11th, 2025, and this message is especially for Scorpio. Not the version of you the world sees, but the one that lives below the surface, private, powerful, and always in the process of becoming. You don't need to believe in astrology to feel the truth of timing. There are days when the universe speaks not in lightning, but in whispers. Today is one of those days. And this is your invitation to listen. So take a moment to drop in. Get comfortable. Let the outer world fade just a little. We're about to step into the energies of the day through your finances, your emotions, your mind, and the quiet places in between. Let's begin. There's a quiet shift happening in your relationship with money today. Not the kind that makes headlines, but the kind that changes everything from the inside out. This isn't about sudden wealth or dramatic luck. It's about recognition. Realizing that what you've been building piece by piece, sacrifice by sacrifice, is finally beginning to take root. Scorpio, you don't take shortcuts. You feel your way through the long game. You endure, observe, and often hold back until the moment is right. And financially, that moment is beginning to emerge. Not in loud external signs, but in subtle affirmations. A debt finally paid off. A long-awaited yes. An idea that begins to generate something tangible. Today, you may notice that what once felt like limitation was actually refinement. The things you've said no to in recent months, the impulsive spends, the draining commitments, the tempting but misaligned offers have cleared a space. And into that space, something more aligned is beginning to flow, not just money, but value, a sense of sovereignty over what you allow into your life. There could be a conversation today, a meeting, a message, even a passing comment that opens your eyes to a new possibility. But more than the offer itself, pay attention to how you feel when it arrives. Does your body expand or tighten? Do you feel grounded or subtly off-center? Your intuition is not just a spiritual tool, it's your most practical asset right now. It will tell you everything you need to know. You don't need to chase every door that opens. You only need to walk through the ones that feel true. And remember, your time and energy are currencies too. You've learned, sometimes the hard way, that not all returns are worth the investment. Let your boundaries be part of your budget. Let your standards shape your strategy. This phase isn't just about managing money. It's about redefining your relationship with it. You're being asked to move from survival mode into something more sovereign. To stop asking, will this be enough? And begin asking, does this honor who I'm becoming? Because here's the truth, Scorpio. The universe doesn't just want you to have enough. It wants you to know your enoughness. That's where true abundance begins, not with accumulation, but with alignment. Let today be a reminder. The most valuable thing you own is your discernment. Spend it wisely. Scorpio, today holds the kind of emotional shift that doesn't announce itself, but you'll feel it. Not like lightning, more like a loosening, a soft unwinding of something you've carried quietly, maybe for far too long. And perhaps for the first time in a while, you're not trying to fight it, fix it, or even understand it. You're just letting it go. Not in anger, not in defeat, but in peace. There's a clearing happening in your emotional body today, like an inner room that's finally being aired out. You may find yourself reflecting on someone from your past, maybe even hearing from them, but something is different this time. They don't shake your ground like they used to. The ache isn't there in the same way. Maybe it's still tender, yes, but it's not consuming. That, Scorpio, is not detachment. That's human. It's okay if you don't know whether to let them back in. What matters more is whether you feel whole with or without them. There's a difference between missing someone and needing them to complete you. And you're starting to see that clearly now. You're not standing in the same place you were before. You've changed, not because someone apologized, but because you did the work. This clarity also creates space space for something new to arrive. And it just might, maybe it already has. There may be a person entering your orbit now whose energy feels different, grounded, gentle, not trying to prove anything, not asking you to be anything other than exactly who you are. And here's the shift that matters most. You're no longer molding yourself to be chosen. You're no longer overgiving just to feel safe. You're not chasing closure, attention, or validation. You are choosing you. And that quiet choice echoes louder than any grand gesture. That shift doesn't just affect romance. It touches your friendships, your boundaries, your relationship with yourself. The way you speak to yourself is softening. The way you respond to tension is changing. You don't have to rush to resolve things anymore. You're beginning to trust that what's meant to stay will stay, and what falls away is simply clearing space for what's true. Let this be a day of emotional sovereignty. Feel what needs to be felt, but don't cling to what's already been released. You are learning that love isn't something you perform. It's something you allow. And when you stop abandoning yourself in the name of connection, the right connections find their way in. Lately, you may have noticed a shift, not outside, but within the quiet corridors of your mind. It's subtle, but real. The thoughts that once ran on loops of pressure or doubt have started to slow. The voice inside you, once sharp and relentless, seems to be softening. Less of a critic, more of a witness. This isn't because everything is suddenly perfect. It's because you are changing the way you hold your own narrative. You're beginning to see that control isn't clarity, that overthinking isn't truth, and that sometimes the wisest thing you can do is pause, not to figure it all out, but to allow the pieces to settle into place without your constant intervention. That's not passivity. That's trust. This is a potent time to give yourself space to observe your own mind. You don't need to fix every thought, chase every idea, or solve every problem on the spot. Instead, try writing, not to edit or impress, just to witness, or speak your thoughts aloud when you're alone. Let your own voice surprise you. Sometimes, when you stop trying to sound wise, your truest wisdom slips through. You are in a state of quiet recalibration. The urgency that used to drive you to be better, to be faster, to be enough is losing its grip. Not because you've lost your edge, but because you're learning that peace doesn't mean complacency. It means presence. It means letting your mind exhale. There's a tension sometimes between your mind and your soul. The mind seeks patterns, definitions, answers. The soul seeks experience, wholeness, and timing. And right now, your soul is asking for space, not to escape thinking, but to integrate what you already know on a deeper level. You are not falling behind, you are composting. The version of you that ran on adrenaline and proving is dissolving. And in its place, something far more rooted is beginning to rise. That emergence doesn't require a plan, it requires permission. Permission to not have it all figured out. Permission to let silence say what words cannot. Permission to trust that the next steps will come not from force, but from alignment. And here's what's beautiful. The more you allow your thoughts to soften, the more your body begins to respond. Your breath deepens, your shoulders lower, your nervous system starts to trust that it no longer needs to be in defense. And that, Scorpio, becomes the foundation of healing, not just mentally, but physically. This is where we begin to shift into how your well-being is asking to be held next, not with pressure, but with presence. Scorpio, your body remembers what your mind has tried to forget. It's been carrying the weight of moments that passed long ago, but never truly left. Some of that weight is recent. Tight deadlines, hard conversations, the silent pressure to hold everything together. But some of it goes deeper. Patterns formed in childhood, the armor you built to survive, the times you silenced your truth to keep the peace. All of it lives in your body, layered quietly beneath the surface. And now your body is asking, no, begging, not for more effort, but for release, not another push toward improvement, but a gentle surrender into what's already present. Today is not about doing more to feel better. It's about doing less so you can finally listen. A slow walk, not for steps, but for breath. A hot bath, not to cleanse, but to soften. A few minutes of quiet movement, not to change your body, but to reconnect with it. You do not need to earn rest. You only need to allow it. Tension has a language. Notice where yours speaks. The clench in your jaw that holds unspoken words. The ache in your shoulders that bear responsibilities not fully yours. The tightness in your stomach that warns of past disappointments replaying in anticipation of the next. These are not just physical sensations. They are emotional imprints asking to be met with care, not discipline. Healing doesn't happen through force. It happens through attention, through saying, I see you, I hear you. You can let go now. Your nervous system is wiser than you know. It tracks truth before your mind catches up. If you find yourself in a space that feels loud, overwhelming, or subtly wrong, trust that signal. You don't need to explain your boundaries. You don't need permission to leave, to pause, or to protect your peace. Choosing peace is not avoidance, it's alignment. And alignment for you is survival turned into sacred practice. As you begin to listen more closely to your body, you may notice something beautiful unfolding in your connections. You become more present, more intuitive, more grounded with others, not because you're trying harder, but because you're no longer running on empty. You're not available for relationships that only take. And without needing to force it, the dynamics around you start to shift. In the spaces where you are most authentically yourself, your energy expands. You don't have to shrink, prove, or explain. You simply are. And those who resonate with that truth will naturally draw closer. The rest will fade. And not as a loss, but as a liberation. This, Scorpio, is where the healing in your body becomes healing in your home, in your heart, and in your daily life. And that's where we go next, because the peace you're creating inside is starting to ripple outward in quiet, powerful ways. Today, Scorpio, you are not chasing transformation as you once might have. You are the transformation. You've been through the fire again and again, and each time you've emerged stronger, wiser, but most importantly, changed. But now it's different. This shift won't be marked by a dramatic moment. There's no grand event that will suddenly reshape everything. No loud external force coming to shake things up. Instead, it's a quiet, almost imperceptible shift. A subtle change in how you see things. A thought that once kept you stuck is now gently replaced by something far more liberating. A pattern you've carried for years begins to lose its grip. A truth that was once too difficult to face is finally honored and acknowledged. This is the magic you've been waiting for. Not the kind that blinds you with light, but the kind that quietly roots itself in the soil of your life and begins to grow. This is the kind of transformation that doesn't need attention or applause. It happens within you, and that is enough. You are the one who has stood at the edges of your own evolution, holding the space for change to emerge. Not because it was easy, but because you trusted that it would come in its own time. Now, that time is here. You are the keeper of sacred thresholds. The doors you stand before are not like the ones others walk through. These are portals of the soul. They open not because you've pushed for them, but because you've earned them. Today, one of those doors swings open, subtly, silently, but undeniably. You may not even notice it at first because it won't make a sound. It will simply be there, waiting for you to step through when you're ready. And when you do, you'll realize that it's not the door that's important. It's the quiet knowing that something has changed within you. It's the awareness that you've crossed into a new chapter, not because you forced it, but because you've allowed it. The next miracle is not somewhere out there in the future. It's right here within you. The real shift comes when you return to your center, to that still place where everything begins and everything ends. When you reconnect with who you are at your core, with that quiet but steady knowing that you are enough, that you are whole, that you are on the right path, that's where the next phase of your journey begins. That's where you'll find the peace, the clarity, and the power to move forward. Trust that this shift, while quiet, is profound. You may not see all of its effects right away, but as you move forward with this new understanding of yourself, you will begin to notice subtle changes in the way you relate to the world. Things will start to fall into place, not because you forced them, but because you've aligned with the truth of who you are. And from that place of inner alignment, everything else will follow. So, Scorpio, as you stand at the threshold of this new moment, take a deep breath. Feel the weight of the change within you and know that the true magic isn't in the loud, dramatic moments. It's in the quiet shifts that happen when you allow yourself to be exactly who you are, without apology, without explanation. That is where the real power lies, and that is where the next miracle begins.